I'd like to say thank you again to our Akan relatives because this is your territory and your struggle is definitely our struggle. We all live here in your homeland and it's our responsibility to make sure that we're supporting you. And so we're very grateful that you're here with us tonight to share how we can help you. So I invite Renee to come up and talk about the actions that go into it.
Yeah, mentioned, my name is Renee. These are my friends. This is Philip and Napoleon. I asked them to be up here with me, one, because I'm really nervous right now, but also because in our culture, you know, it's really important for us to maintain what we call lusik, which means balance. And when we talk about issues and we talk about sensitive subjects like Moadag and about some of the cultural aspects of that, I believe that it's really important that we maintain that sense of lusik, so I asked them to be here. So they're not just my bodyguards, but they can be that too. Again, my name is Renee. I'm Akan Moadag. I come from the village of Moadag, which is on what they call the Hill River Indian community. My family is from there, but my father's family is from Moadag, which is near Moadag, which is known as South Mountain. Patrilineally, that is where my clans come from, which I am on Bon clan, which I'm Coyote clan, which makes sense to probably a lot of my friends right now. But I come here to share some information. But before I do, regarding the South Mountain Freeway to extension, but before I do that, I really wanted to acknowledge the other people on the panel. I've known them from different work, I guess you could call it. Sandra did a great job. I'm glad that she opened in such a strong way, because as I was sitting there, or as I've been thinking about today, and I've been going through notes and I've been going through, you know, the logistical stuff about the facts and information regarding the 202, I was hit with a lot of emotion when speaking about this, because these are very personal experiences for us as Indigenous people. And as I came here to share information with everyone, I had to get myself in a place where I was comfortable in sharing that information. And a part of doing that is to acknowledge a lot of the pain that comes with this kind of work. I feel what Sandra is feeling. I was fortunate enough to go with the Apache Squad on the caravan to DC in 2015. I acknowledge the heaviness and the emotional impacts that Standing Rock has had. I was also fortunate to be there at Standing Rock as well with my family at a Red Warrior camp. I wanted us to first sit with that, just for a few seconds, because I feel like that's a really important part of this. And when you see working with certain organizations and working with Indigenous people, you will see the way that we organize ourselves and the way that we talk about these things. It is a long process that cannot be condensed into a 5-minute, probably a 3-minute presentation. So while a lot of people here were coming to get facts and how can we do this and what representatives do we need to call and what do you need right now, we need you to be present with us right now, because these communities that are being affected, we're feeling that. And right now I'm feeling that. So I'm gonna ask you please just for a few seconds, let's just acknowledge that. And let's acknowledge what has brought us here. Not only the wonderful Winona do, which honestly that's really why I'm here, but also Standing Rock, because without the momentum that Standing Rock had created, a lot of people sitting in these seats would not be here. Okay? Not just non-Indigenous people, but also Indigenous people. It has created such a momentum that people have gotten themselves motivated to get involved. And I thank you for this, and I thank you for doing this for me. Before I go into some information regarding 202, and I'm going to keep it very brief because y'all have Google, and y'all can look up a lot of this information, not only about the 202, but by Oak Flat, not your mascot and so on. But I also wanted to acknowledge Winona because I was sharing with a friend on the way here that in December, late November, December, when we were at Red Warrior, the morale in the camp, not only just our camp, but in general in the camp itself was very low. And I remember that I was walking, you have to remember I'm a desert woman walking a lot of snow, very, very far from her community. And when I was walking there, I'm sure Winona doesn't remember this because I was probably like layered up in like tons and tons of clothes. Well, I was probably also masked up, so. But when I seen her, like everything just lit up. And there was so much that was alleviated for me. And I think from a lot of people there. Never in my life would I have ever imagined to be there as an alpha woman, to be in this place, to see one of my heroes in the same space that I was. And that heaviness was lifted for a few moments, so I wanted to share that with you. And thank you for paving the way for us, like was mentioned before, to be a little bit more braver, a little bit more courageous in the paths that have been set before us. Because we know as Indigenous women, these are not the lives that we aim to have. They're hard lives. They're not fair lives a lot of times. And the work is definitely a struggle. So thank you. And thank you, I want to thank also the organizers to organize this event to bring us here. I will, right now, like I said very briefly, talk about the 202, because like I said, I see y'all with your phones out, probably live streaming. Hey everybody, oh yeah, we're Facebook, this is really embarrassing. But also, this information is definitely something at your fingertips, literally, that you can find out for yourself. The Loop 202 extension, also known as the South Mountain Freeway, is something that has been known to the Gila River Indian community for nearly 30 years. And for just as long as that, the Gila River Indian community has also been in opposition to that. And they made that plainly clear by passing tribal resolutions, by holding community votes that again and again has said that the community wants nothing to do with this freeway, whether it be on tribal land, or whether it be through our sacred Moadag, South Mountain. But again and again, as we know, as Indigenous people, as oppressed, as marginalized people, the governmental agencies like MAG and ADOT, they go through these formalities with really no intention of listening to us. So please pardon me if I say that even a 2-party, even a 3-party, 4-party, 5-party system is going to be of any avail to us as Indigenous people. What Standing Rock has created and has shown us that we are able to do this ourselves. And Standing Rock is the only time, even living in my community, that I actually felt free. And the reason behind that is that we were able to collectively, as Indigenous people from all types of places, able to live somewhat harmoniously, and at least to skill share and support each other, whether it be through direct action, through prayer, through sharing songs. But we also know, like I had mentioned before, all this information is online, I'm so sorry. But one of the things that, when I came to thinking about this event, one of the things that I wanted to really stress to the people that were here involved, that are more politically inclined, is that this freeway system continues to perpetuate this driving culture, this fossil-fueled, society that definitely needs to stop. We all live here collectively, and we all know that our resources are very limited, that our air gets dirtier and dirtier. And as we do that, we have to really take into consideration a lot of the first communities that are here. So the Loop 202 extension is within a mile of schools, of neighborhoods. And when in September, we established a camp there at Moadag, just on the reservation side of the freeway alignment. And as I was thinking about what am I going to share with these people, what is going to make any kind of impact, and this may not make any impact whatsoever, but I know that at least the Indigenous people, and especially the Alton people, can build this. Time is at a critical point right now. And I shared with my friends that this is the last time I'm going to speak on this. If you have any information or anything that you want to know more about, you can talk to me, by myself. And the reason is that they are building, they are tearing, they are destructing as we speak. One of the days that I was at the camp, I was there alone. It was after maybe 2 days of being at camp alone. It was a warm day, unseasonably warm. And I was sitting there reading, listening, as you get more and more in tune with the mountain, you start to notice all the things. And then all of a sudden, a huge crash. And it shook me. I knew what it was, but it was still hard to hear. And within 3 seconds, all these birds came flying out of the ridge that they had just blown up. They came flying to us, to our community, to our village. Our village is on the west end. And it may have such an impact on my part as an Alton woman, and as the people who have already felt tremendous land trauma by having our river dammed by upstream settlers, by having our voices continuously disregarded in this process, in these formalities, that we are continuously asked to maneuver through, when we know the end result never, ever benefits us. Look at Standing Rock. Look at Oak West. Look at John McCain pushing, pushing the land exchange into the must-pass National Defense Bill. We have to be very honest about how much the government really cares about Indigenous people. And we have to be honest with ourselves and that we have a lot more leverage and a lot more power in our communities, and right now it is that time to start building stronger communities. Not just through prayer, but by courage, by our physical bodies, and by challenging those systems like the two-party system, I also want to acknowledge, because I should have done this right away, but I want to acknowledge that this territory, or this community, is primarily Alton territories, but I want to acknowledge the Pipash, who also hold a lot of regards to Moadag. I believe they call it Pipas. I'm sorry, I'm using Pipash, and I'm really that. I want to acknowledge them as well, because they also have held a strong resistance. This definitely is not acknowledged enough as it should be in our community. But I also want to acknowledge that these waters, there is a lot of commerce and trade in these areas. And this valley definitely is very giving, is very loving, and takes care of a lot of us. And we need to regard it and respect it in those ways. And as a friend of mine, who I wish was here, has said again and again, we have to recognize the power of the water. We have to recognize that the waters connect us. That all these rivers, streams, they all definitely lead into one place. And that's how we need to regard one another as tribal people, as Indigenous people, and people that are not Indigenous to these lands. We hold a lot of responsibility, and we need to start acting. So when you're going to ask me later on, well, how can I get involved? And I'm going to give you some hashtags, and I'm going to give you some links, and I'm going to do that whole thing. There's definitely a lot of people out there that have worked a lot harder and are more knowledgeable about the specifics about the 202. But what I'm going to tell you is, like Naileen had mentioned, show up. Show up. Show up to those rallies. Show up to those communities and ask the people themselves how they need to be supported. It is hard as Indigenous people to continuously be involved in these things when our communities are under tremendous trauma. Drugs and alcohol, poverty. Any way that you can put resources into those communities, not through any necessarily organizations, but to fund the people, the actual fighters, the people that are actually doing the work, is where you need to go. So with that, I wanted to end in saying that Moadag, we all enjoy. A lot of us hike there. A lot of us acknowledge that there is something beautiful about that place, about South Mountain. And as we go farther and farther, I want to acknowledge that there's a lot of pain happening right now with the Ogden people. There's a lot of division. And I'm speaking to the Indigenous people in this room. We cannot continuously oppress one another. We cannot continuously fight one another. We cannot continuously be territorial over issues. We are perpetuating what they want us to be and what they want us to do. And we can no longer stand like that. And some people know what I'm talking about, and some may not, but that is the message that I came here today to the Indigenous people in this room. So with that, I just wanted to say I'm not sorry I don't have any songs.